Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Halloween is right around the corner, so today we're getting into the spirit with a candy corn ombre nail tutorial. I'll be showing you 3 different ways to get that perfect blend using a sponge, an ombre brush, and an airbrush. So let's get started. So here's everything that we're going to need to achieve these 3 looks. We have our white Melody Susie P14, Valentino Beauty Pure in 110, and Valentino Beauty Pure in 151. I'm also going to be using a clear acrylic for the ombre, and we'll get into that a little bit later. And then as far as the techniques, we have our sponge, the ombre brush, and the airbrush as well. Those 2 I got off of Amazon. I can link below. So we want to start with our white base. You want to make sure that it's as smooth as possible. So for the first base, we're just going to apply the standard white base and we'll cure that for 30 seconds. The second coat, we'll do the acrylic over it before we cure it, and that helps the colors to blend a bit better and also the colors to stick more to the nail versus staying on the sponge, and I'll show you what I mean in a bit. So now we're going to go with our second coat and pour our acrylic over it before curing. You want to make sure to cover the entire surface of the nail. It gives it a textured feel so that the gel polish sticks better and it gives you a more flawless ombre look. Once you've covered the entire nail with the acrylic powder, you want to put it in the lamp for 30 seconds to cure. And make sure to wipe off the excess when you're done curing as well. Now we're going to take our colors and load up the sponge before adding it to the nail. Starting with the traditional candy corn color, we're going to go yellow, orange, and we won't do white for the first layer because the nail's white, so we don't need to have that extra white on there. So I'm just going to go ahead and load up the sponge, and then we'll start dabbing it on to create the ombre effect. And we may need to do a couple of layers just depending on how well the gel sticks to the nail. So we'll see that in a bit here. Now that our sponge is loaded up, we're going to go ahead and start dabbing it on the nail. And you want to make sure to go from side to side so that you cover the entire nail, all the white parts of the nail. And you just keep going until everything is covered. Then you're going to put it in the lamp for 60 seconds to cure. And if you feel like it needs a second layer, which I did after this, then you go ahead and load up your sponge again, and we'll do another layer and cure that as well. I did a second layer and I added the white because it seemed to kind of fade out a little bit. I think I did a little bit too much of the orange, a little too far down. So I added a little bit of white on the second coat just to give it that pop and make it a little bit brighter at the bottom. So I went ahead and top coated the first one off camera, and I'll show everything at the end. But now we're going to go ahead and get started with the second look, which is with the ombre brush. I have to say that this is probably my personal least favorite. I don't think an ombre brush really blends it as well as the other 2 ways. However, that could just be user error. I'm maybe a little bit heavy-handed at times, and you need a really light touch when you're using an ombre brush. So that could be my problem, but I personally don't really care to have that. I think it's good for maybe just one color blending, but when you're doing multiple colors like this, it tends to be a little bit challenging and it doesn't blend as smoothly as I would like. So I went ahead and I put my first coat of white on, and then we're going to put a second coat, and we'll go in with the same two colors again, of course, and I'll show you how that looks. So this is the first coat, and I'm going to go ahead and cure that, but I don't know if you can really see from the camera. It didn't really blend down as much as I would like to. Again, it's all about layers too when you're doing an ombre effect, so you just want to make sure that you are going in with as many layers as you'd like to achieve the ombre look. I think I ended up doing one or two more coats here. I'm going to do a second coat now and then blend that down before I go in with the orange. So here's where we are so far with the two colors. I haven't done my second coat of orange yet, so it's coming along. It's not as nice as I'd like it to be. I really prefer that really perfectly blended ombre, and again, to me, I don't feel like I personally can achieve that with the ombre brush, but it's still, some people I've seen do a really amazing job. I don't know how they do that. I guess maybe it's practice. I don't practice enough. It could be the polish, viscosity, it could be a million things, but I've never had the best luck using it, so I just stick to the sponge or the airbrush. I ended up going in with a little bit more white. I wasn't liking how this was coming out. I think the orange came down a little bit too much. I pulled it down too much. So I added some more white and I tried blending that up a little bit more to give me the result that I was looking for. So now for our third technique, the airbrush machine. We're going to go in and use this airbrush machine that I got off of Amazon. I got this a while ago, but I'll find the link and see if I can put it below in the description box if you guys are interested. I think it was really inexpensive, something like 20 or 30 bucks, but it's definitely worth it to achieve a more flawless look. So you're going to start by putting in a couple of drops of the color that you're using. So this, I just end up wiping the excess into the dish here, or the little bowl, whatever you want to call it. And then you want to use pure acetone. You want to make sure it's 100% pure acetone. So you use a couple of drops of your polish, and then you'll fill it up about halfway with the acetone, and that way it'll give you the airbrush effect. It doesn't come out too thick and it doesn't clog up your machine. So you want to make sure that you're getting the right ratio. It took me a while to get the right ratio too. Sometimes I was using too much acetone and there would be a lot of bubbles in my designs and I couldn't figure out what it is, and finally I found that sweet spot. So it does take a little bit of getting used to and playing with it before you're able to find what ratios work best for you. So you want to put in your colors, mix it in. I'm just using an orange wood stick to mix it in. You'll cover it, and then you want to make sure to do a little test spot on a piece of paper towel, which I'm going to do in a minute here. I'll show you. Once you've gotten the color that you want, then you're going to start airbrushing your nail. You always want to make sure that you're in a well ventilated room. Either have your purifier on or windows open. I think windows open are best if possible, because acetone is very, very strong. And always make sure to wear a mask as well, especially if you do this on a regular basis. So I'm just testing the color, making sure that it's going to come out the way that I want. Then I'll use the paper towel as my backdrop, so to speak, so that it catches any excess, because it does get pretty messy. It's very, very airborne. It can get all over the place. So want to make sure you're wearing gloves, and then have that paper towel to catch any excess. So you just want to lightly go from side to side, making sure that you're covering the entire nail to ensure that you're getting that ombre look that you want. So I did a couple of different coats on this, and you want to cure in between. So make sure that once you're done with that first coat, you cure it, and then you'll come back into your second. So I've got my nail in there for the final cure. Now I have to prep for the next color. The only drawback about using the airbrush machine, especially when you're using multiple colors, is you have to clean it pretty thoroughly in between each one. Otherwise, you run the risk of having the colors blend together or mix together. And if you don't want that, obviously, I don't know why anybody would, but if you don't want that, you need to clean it thoroughly between each use. That means getting out the color that you had in there, getting that acetone to clean it, run it through a couple of times to make sure that you've gotten all the color out, wiping the inside. And this is the part that can really get pretty intense as far as the fumes, which is why you really want to be in a well ventilated room, or even next to an open window. I usually clean it next to an open window, but not when I'm recording, obviously. So I'll stand next to an open window with a paper towel so that I can spray the acetone and the fumes go out the window. So it's really strong. You want to keep that in mind. Otherwise, I really do love using the airbrush. It is one of my favorite tools to get that perfect ombre effect. Just keep in mind that it can be pretty high maintenance. I used to have 2 airbrush machines actually, and I gave one to my father-in-law. He does a lot of artwork and whatnot. Now I'm kind of regretting that, but it is what it is. So here we are. I'm happy with my one. Maybe eventually down the road, if I find myself doing a lot more ombres, I can invest in another one. So now I'm just going to go ahead and prep for the next color, and I'll show you what that looks like. So when you're doing 2 or more colors, you just want to be careful not to spray in areas where the other colors need to be. Of course, you want to make sure that you're blending it as good as possible, but don't go too high. And the good thing is we're doing it on top of a white base, and since that bottom color is white, we don't have to worry about going down too far. So we just don't want to get too much into the yellow in this particular case. But just be mindful when you're using an airbrush that you want to make sure to get that sweet spot so it doesn't spray all over the place. And I actually ended up not needing to go back in with a second coat, because you can see here it actually came out really nice the first time. So that's another good thing about the airbrush, and finding that sweet spot mix between the acetone and the gel polish is, the more gel polish obviously, then the more opaque the color is going to be. So in this case, I think it also had to do with the fact that it was an orange color, but I didn't end up having to go in with a second coat. And here are the 3 finished looks. We have the sponge, which I probably could have gone in with another coat to make that a little bit darker, but I didn't. And then we have the ombre brush here, and you can see that the lines aren't as clean, and it just doesn't blend as well. That's why it's not one of my favorites. And then we have the airbrush, which of course to me is the most flawless look. Everything blends really nicely, really smooth, and I think it just looks great. And there you have it, 3 different ways to create candy corn ombre nails. Let me know in the comments below which method was your favorite, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more nail art tutorials. See you in the next one. Bye!